Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator, hell, Everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. So, guys, let's do the protection right away. So we have a intense discussion after this. All right. So I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head. As I breathe in, I fill my lungs. As I breathe out, I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and only good, and so it is. So today's topic is something that I meant to cover earlier, like a couple of days ago when it happened when the no, it wasn't even a couple of days ago, it was Tuesday that this happened. So we had both bomb threats um, to airplanes and an actual fire explosion that killed people because of the explosion of a UPS cargo plane in um, Kentucky. Okay, so let's get to that. So even though these are separate incidents, the fact that they happen on the day where we had these local elections, important elections, to me is significant. So first, I'm going to ask about the bomb threats. Okay, and then we're going to go to. Okay, so what happened? Oh, let me show you the news. I always like to do that because I like to. I just was okay. So this is Eyewitness Houston, November 4th, 7 p.m. United Airlines flight from Houston evacuated in Washington, D.C. due to bomb threat, officials say. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and then let's. So what happened? That's right. It's interesting. I see these teenagers that look to me like those kids who did the kids. They're not teenagers, actually, they're young adults. The Doge bros calling for fun, quote unquote, to create an environment of chaos because it's an election, right? And that's how they got their power. They got their power in ways that we believe here on this channel that were not legitimate because the election was cheated. Something happened with the numbers of the election, right? And the more time passes, the more obvious it becomes. So they wanted to create terror among the population. And it's interesting that I think it's not so immediately it is showing me that I thought it could be foreign country or something, but for some reason I feel like this is domestic, even though we have enemies foreign and domestic, right? The threats themselves to me feel um like a way to create, I guess, terrorism too, but psychological, right? That I don't think there were bombs in these things, in these ones, but it diverted the attention. And it shows me, guys, it's so sad. It's sad because um, I'm remembering I've watched a lot of documentaries about the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and they would do it often, these bomb things, and then they would call. But I think most of when they would call, they meant it. It wasn't a joke or something. It wasn't fake. But here we have a situation where I think these are separate from the other thing that I'm going to talk about next, which is what happened, which of course is far worse because there's a lot of people that died. Let me just quickly show you because I think it will give us a sense about the motive here. Okay, just a bigger picture. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is not the main one. The main one is the other one. So is the actual deaths, right? Okay, so we have a situation here. I selected a card that means uh, travel, right? There's no card for airplane, but ahead of time I did that. So we have here on top 11 whip fighting disagreements, blockage, and 21 the mountain here blockage, and then next to it we have 9, which is happiness. So there's a good outcome that they want to fight through blockages. This happy outcome. Then below here we have loss or gamble. It's funny because these were the same cars that also fell for this, something related to a video I did about Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. So we have your loss, lies, and then rest. So gambling through lies to make people also stay home. If you think of voting, right? People have to go leave their house, but this is a picture of somebody in bed staying home. So it's a gamble to lie to make people stay home. Then the King of Pentacles, somebody powerful here. Page of Wands, again, a young person, inexperienced relatively. But then we have a card of defeat. The Five of Swords is defeat. So the purpose is to create a defeat, I think, related to the election, and also a psychological defeat, right? And they're using these younger people to enact these blocks, which are basically threats. Okay. All right. So now let's go. So this was this part that, again, I think this is a picture of this sort of a terror. It's a form of terrorism, right? That they're creating. When voting happens, they want people to be afraid to vote, because that's the right. They're attacking us, right, for having rights. So now let's go to the other very sad situation here. 13 dead in UPS crash and 9 remain missing as officials examine black box data. Authorities have said the number of dead in the Tuesday crash may grow. Now, before I read some of the details about this, I am going to show you this because I think it's related, okay? This is from, guys, a year exactly, okay, updated exactly a year ago. Remember, I remember even making a video that discussed this. Russia suspected of plotting to send incendiary devices on U.S.-bound planes. 2 devices that ignited in Europe, officials say, were part of a covert operation to put them on cargo or passenger aircraft. Western security officials say that they believe 2 incendiary devices shipped via DHL were part of a covert Russian operation that ultimately aimed to start fires aboard cargo or passenger aircraft flying to the US and Canada as Moscow steps up a sabotage campaign against Washington and its allies. The devices ignited at DHL logistic hubs in July, one in Leipzig, Germany, and another in Birmingham, England. The explosion set off a multinational race to find the culprits. Now, investigators and spy agencies in Europe have figured out how the devices, electric massagers, like those things, implanted with a magnesium-based flammable substance, were made, and concluded that they were part of a Russian plot, according to security officials and people familiar with the probe. So again, this is talks about, remember this happened in Lithuania. Lithuania police arrested a suspect who sent 4 incendiary devices, including 2 from a DHL shop in the capital of Vilnius. A European law enforcement official said the suspect identified himself as Igor Prudnikov, but his real name is Alexander Surenovas, the official said. Investigators said they believe he was used as a proxy by Russian spy services. So again, this is exactly a year ago. And then we have today, 13 dead in UPS crash and 13 remain missing as officials examine black box data. Investigators are reviewing 63 hours of data collected from the black box of a UPS cargo plane involved in a deadly crash that killed at least 13 people in Louisville, Kentucky earlier this week. 9 people remain missing as authorities sift through the wreckage of Tuesday's crash in an attempt to piece together what went wrong. The aircraft was last reported at 475 feet of altitude, traveling at a speed of 183 knots around 5:13 p.m., officials said on Thursday. The plane had been in San Antonio for about 6 weeks before Tuesday's flight, and officials said they are looking into maintenance records from its time in Texas. They are also reviewing CCTV information from the field surrounding the crash. Investigators have already pulled multiple pieces of engine fan blades along with the main components of the engine strewn across the debris fields. Okay. All right. So, okay, here it is. All right. So, in an appearance just here on Fox News on Thursday morning, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy shut down concerns that the crash is related to the government shutdown. This was not an air traffic controller issue. I want to be clear on that. This appeared to be more mechanical, but we do have the flight and data recorders. Those are in the process of being analyzed and will tell us what was happening on that aircraft. So So it's interesting, right as I was reading this to you, I got this image also of like something, the things, the blades, some sort of something tied to it, and then there was a flammable, there's some sort of liquid that would a trigger system of some sort. There's something going on here, and I see that a man who was dressed as a mechanic with goggles did something, um, and I see they alter the video camera, something like this. So this is what I saw, but let me ask. This is just even before asking. So what happened here? What caused it? Yeah, there's some devices there. That's right. There was something attached to the plane. I don't know why. Do I think it was a wings, something on the wings too, or something? It could even be also even there's a multiple things that were done, like even a radar, like something that was attached to that would affect the orientation of me, something weird, like a box of some sort. And then and then this, it's saying it was actually the rudimentary mechanism that would do that. And it's saying the thing exploded right up. It's saying it exploded right after take, like you know what I mean? So as soon as the airplanes were turned on and the engine started running, this thing got triggered. And and as soon as it reached the minimum altitude, it's saying if it, and I think I've read like when I was doing this thing of learning all of these. I remember the IRA documentary. I think it was there was something really like, how do you say it? That I remember reading this, that if you move something a little bit, or like, if it's not horizontal, if it's in a box, anything moving it even lightly could cause something. It's very sensitive. So and then it shows me this again, this mechanic person putting something there. So that's what I see. Okay, now let's go back. So tell me yes, I see the man with a clock. And then I see that it's the day of the voting. It's saying it's not a coincidence. And it would say they meant to scare a lot more airports. And they wanted that to be bigger news so that people would be really, really scared to vote. It tells me actually that they tried somewhere else. There was another plane somewhere that was meant to take off. Another one. It was going to be two or three, but they only managed to do one. So, wow, that's interesting. Somehow it tells me Texas too. But I feel like no, this thing, because they said that the plane came from Texas, but this no, this one, the thing that was put in it, it was put, I think, in Kentucky. But there's another one in Texas that was supposed something was supposed to happen, and the person they was not allowed in, or there was something that was prevented. They had planned for three planes, only one went through. And okay, and so this is that, yes, related to the election. You want to panic related to the election. Okay, and I'm not. I'm sad to tell you this, that I think, the Orange Man. I think he may have been alerted about, like he may have expected something like this. Okay, unfortunately, I don't. It's something that you never want to um to see, but I feel like he was expecting some more. See that Trash was expecting more interference. Okay, so so this is that. Now let's see here. So are they going to catch? I see catching. That's right. I do see somebody but catching the person out somehow outside of the US. The person who did this is the same guy with, like, I don't know, to me he does look at our something like that. Like he could have blondish, reddish hair or something with a, mustache and like the goggles. It shows me the person. I mean, when he's arrested, he's not wearing that, but it was a kind of a saboteur, intelligence agency, saboteur type, military intelligence, you know what I'm saying? So a very advanced person. It tells me it could have been a long-term illegal. They have the illegal Russian illegals, the ones that pretend to have a name and they have a different name. So I guess I'm saying it right. That's what I think. That's what I think it was. And that weird, Mark Rutte somehow shows up here, like he knows of it, or they have sort of identified who the person was already, kind of somehow they know of it. And oh, they picked up conversations on the phone or something like this. So okay, so yeah, no, it shows me a manhunt eventually. I don't know when, honestly. But it's saying, so I have a question. Is this going to be considered a terrorist attack? I see. That's right. It's a line across the line. But I don't think it, honestly, in this administration, no, because they'll never allow this word to be used. They can accuse Americans of doing that, right? People that are running for office, they use that word sort of like openly about random people, but not if you come from this other country, no, never. That's the word never for me. I a person of peace. I always peace, right? So okay, so that's that. Now let's go. That's right. No, it's saying that it will be eventually discussed as an act of terrorism, but not when he is in power. But it will be also, it's saying this is a line, a definite line that has been crossed, and it's gonna lead to Trash's downfall. Yes, because okay, guys, I'm telling you this. I almost don't believe it because it's so scary. Okay, no, it's not scary. Scary in the sense of like, of course I know that. We all know this man that he works for the other country. But when I see here my vision, like that he doesn't want, almost like he calls the FBI or Patel or whatever to like, take it easy on the investigation. Don't have to rush or something, as if to kind of interfere in the investigation and not let them find who it was, right? So, and it's saying, notice that Trump may have a hard time visiting or talking about it because you know how he does that. It's a little too close for comfort. So, okay, so wow, wow. Okay, so let me show you the other cards again that I did before, just so you have an idea here. Here we have now the Kentucky UPS airplane. Now we have, this is another card that I pulled, the trip card to signify the airplane. And what happens, right? So here we have an offer to somebody leaves something behind, the world upside down. Now, I think it had to me, that's why I think this one is the global thing, right? I don't think this is about the person who may have committed this to the top row. It's about the scenario, right? That there was the Four of Cups is a person who has apathy when they're offered something like and they turn their backs on something and the world upside down. And I talked about Putin and Lavrov earlier today when I did another video. I may or may not have by the time you see this. I don't know which one I'm going to publish first, but that's related. Okay, and then we have here now public gathering. So the card 20 means garden. It could mean a public environment where people gather, groups of people. Um, so or in a field even, right? So there's treachery there. And the 16th card, the card of stars, in that context, it could mean satellite also. So treachery in a public field related to satellite. So, but I feel like satellites are, that's not, I think the explosion happened, like it wasn't, does it make sense? It didn't crash and burn. I think it was burned and then crashed, right? So now, and then we have here interesting baby, a new beginning, and a young person, an experienced person, but a new beginning. Anger, now jealousy. See, it's interesting, the card of jealousy again, a crazy person. And then we have a card of the enemy, right? And then we look here, the last column, the world upside down, satellites, enemy. So they wanted a certain world order. It didn't happen. And here, treachery and anger. And if you think of jealousy, it could even posit the situation with the Ukraine now that it appears that the U.S. has um, at least done some things to benefit Ukraine somehow a little bit. That Russia could be jealous. That's a form of jealousy, right? Then we have here an offer, apathy, and in a public place. It could also be, like I said, maybe the person who put the thing in made it off, like, oh, hey, can I help you, or can I do something? And the new beginning, a young person to also to plant something, to put something in a bit, like, does it make sense? A new, it's like, oh, baby, like, here's something, and make you know. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm extrapolating too far, but really, no, because I was like, wait, really, to give put a baby away? No, no, but you understand what I mean, right? So I think it makes sense in the context. And so and so that's that. That's right. And it tells me here. So Rosie, of course. And John McCain, yes, that's right. He's like, I used to be a pilot. I know those things. Airplanes don't explode out for no reason. It's that you have to find there's always a reason. It's not like a random thing. And there's always mechanical, what's the word? Inspections for this reason, because it never is many things can break. An airplane can't because people die. And so they will find it, he's saying. But what I was getting also here, the messages. Rosie, you show the article. There's precedence to this. The MO is similar. It has happened in different countries. There was reporting that there were plans for this to happen in the US, and here we are. Okay. So, and the other thing I wanted to say too, I do think that the thing of the planes, the bomb threats was a person that was local, American or Americans. And this is a foreign operation, okay? Because it's saying they need the expertise had to be. It's saying it had. I'm not saying that they have actual. Maybe the person what it's not clear where they come from necessarily, but just as the article suggested, they sometimes hire people from other countries or locals or whatever. Nobody's saying it has to be. It tells us no, Rosie, this would have to be a top professional because it was a tough operation. You could get caught, right? Okay, and then I got this like, no, nowadays, if they were caught, Trump would find a way to free them, right? So it was risky, but still there were uh there were ways to get away with it. So and it was saying Rosie was definitely planned. And a year ago we were already alerted this could happen, right? So so it's saying yes, it will lead to, and I see that Trump like being like, oh no, really, really nervous because the treason situation is more and more apparent. And there's only a way out for him, and that's prison, right? Either he stays in power forever or he's going to get caught because the levels of crime are very high. So, and it tells me also, they're acting like people um, who are, how do I say it? Like, we're guilty. Okay. So, all right. So this was it for now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.